All right, all right. So, all right, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary, and I'm here with my beautiful wife. Say hi, boo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Akdi. I'm providing the Turkish perspective, or I guess the non-American perspective in this channel.
Yeah,
And plus the female perspective, I guess, because this is
yeah.
the locker room channel.
Yeah, I want it to be more inclusive. I would like to have women in here, right? And I feel like,
Yeah.
my channel is like woman friendly, even though sometimes I go off the rails. But, your feminine perspective is always appreciated. Your non American perspective is definitely greatly appreciated. And just generally, you're smart as hell and funny as hell. So I think, you got a lot of insight to give as we talk about this topic. But on my channel, like 2 years ago, I can't believe it's been almost 2 years, right? He was
Yeah.
charged. Like all of this started happening like at the end of 2023, right?
That was 2 years?
Yeah, man. I feel like it's been 2 years since all of this has happened.
I feel like it was last year, like 1 year ago.
Something like that. I don't know. It just feels like it's been a long time. I feel like the Cassie lawsuit came out about 2 years ago. I don't know. I'd have to check. But either way, Diddy's been going through it for a while, a year and a half or so. His name has been dragged through the mud. He was an icon to me. Like I didn't like look up to Diddy or worship Diddy or something like that, but
Mhm.
definitely as somebody who loves hip hop, I thought, okay, that's like one of our moguls, our icons, like Jay-Z, like Eminem, like you know what I mean? Like he's one of those guys. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, Acting, you're much younger than me, so I have to know like how did you see Diddy, and also like being outside of America, like how did you think about this guy?
I think by the time I got into American music, Diddy was more in the background. Like it was his more of his production years, so he would be featured in like some songs, and that's how I would see him. But obviously, yeah, like it's like once you look him up, you can see how big he is. So that's kind of how I discovered Diddy. Like I saw him in a song or something like that, probably looked him up or saw him in a documentary, I don't know, or a reality TV show or something.
Yeah,
And then sort of learned more about his kingdom of
yeah,
production and music.
yeah. I mean, his run was legendary. I mean, he brought us great rappers like the Notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige and Faith Evans and 112. So much great music came out of Diddy, and it's kind of sad to see him fall. But I find it interesting. The most interesting thing to me about this case is not Diddy's weird sexual life. It's just sort of like how nobody in hip hop is standing up for him. You know what I mean? Like even with R. Kelly, touching little kids for years. Even with Tory Lanez, you know what I mean? It's most likely probable he shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. There is nobody like standing up for Diddy like people were like repping Tory Lanez or repping R. Kelly. Why do you think that might be?
I mean, I was shocked at that too because I was expecting more people to be like, Diddy fanatics, at
Hmm.
least to like, start petitions for him or, do a protest maybe and stuff like that, maybe an online protest and stuff. But I think like just the charges that he was charged with, and also all the thing that happened with Cassie, like, putting him on civil trial and stuff like that. And we read, like, everyone read those cases, and it was
Hmm.
just sort of insane. And maybe that's why no one wants to like get involved in it. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just too much of a trouble.
Yeah, I think, as we're living in the post Me Too era, nobody wants to be associated with abusing women, sexual assault, anything like that, because that's real toxic. Like if this happened 15 years before, I think there would be a totally different sentiment. But, the social media has been the great equalizer that's been giving voice to like a lot of marginalized people. So now women are online saying, oh, yeah, Diddy's a homewrecker. He's an abusive man. He's a dog. You know what I mean? So I think that's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
because like if they say no, Diddy is not guilty, like first of all they can't say that really, because there's been videos and like, you know, sort of clear evidence that he did not, like, he did abuse Cassie in general. Like in that consensus there is a lot of evidence, so it's like it's hard to say, oh no, he's not guilty of that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, once you beat a woman on camera, it's really hard to come back unless you're white. Unless you're white, like Dana White, the man that owns the UFC fighting championship thing, MMA owner who gets to hang out with Trump all the time and have direct access to the president. You can slap your wife on camera and still get to own, your fighting league and still become a multimillionaire and other people apologize for you. So I just have to bring that out as well. Go into the comments real quick. Kamal says, I never personally liked Diddy, but entered into evidence those texts from Cassie towards the freak offs were consensual. It proves the freak offs were consensual. So let's just jump into that real quick. This past week has been the first week of the trial, opening arguments from the prosecution and the defense. We're going to talk about that. But yeah, one of the things the defense of Diddy brought up, the defense team said these text messages say you're always ready to freak off. You love freak offs. You even had sex with some of the prostitutes outside of the freak offs. So what do you think about that, Akdi?
Yeah, I think it's hard to like decide with this case, but I do think there is some like psychological manipulation involved, because Cassie kept on saying like he loved Diddy and, you know, she wanted to be in a relationship, plus he promised her like a record deal and stuff like that. Like, I mean, he was gonna do it, like a 10 album record deal. And I think all of those things played a role in terms of how Cassie was communicating with Diddy, like telling him, oh, he wants to freak off or whatever. Like, um, I don't think, maybe, you know, when you're in a relationship, you have to sacrifice a little bit when it comes to like, you know, sexual times together, because sometimes
Yeah.
you may not want to do it, and then you do it because of the other person, vice versa. Everyone does it, and
Actually, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry. I have to ask you a question as a woman because I feel like, well, I'm not even going to preface it. How much how much do you think most women sacrifice sexually to keep their man? Meaning like doing things they don't like to do or not getting fully satisfied but dealing with it to keep their man. You know what I mean? Like do you think that's a large
yeah.
amount of women or do you think that's a small amount of women?
I think it's a large amount of women. Like there has been women near me who did that, you know, but also like I think with my friends right now, with my friend circle, we do definitely do that less, because we are
Mm,
just more aware of like, you know, our rights, and
mm,
we I feel like we want a healthier relationship between men and women. So in general, I feel like maybe the newer generation does it less, but there's still like that there. But I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
with the newer generation of women, it's also like 50-50 in a little bit, you know, because if as a woman, I feel like I would only do it if the man does it as well.
Mm.
So I don't mind sacrificing if the other side is sacrificing as well.
Yeah, I think most men don't sacrifice that much sexually. I feel like most men, if they're with a woman and they're not fully sexually satisfied, they're out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think even men, when they are sexually satisfied, sometimes they're out because some men are some men are dogs. Like Diddy, man, like he just loved them freak offs. So there was nothing Cassie could have done to like keep him. And I
Yeah.
think that was part of that was part of the big reason. Like the defense team is making this argument like they had a toxic relationship. And so like Cassie doing the freak offs might have been her way to keep him, but that's not sex trafficking. That's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
racketeering. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, I don't think, oh, it's like Cassie is freaky. Like, I'm not saying it's her fault or anything like that. I can understand that there has been like some psychological and power dynamics in play, but like you said, it doesn't mean it was sex trafficking. So,
Yeah.
in that way, it does not make sense that like being in a toxic relationship does not make it sex trafficking.
Yeah, yeah. let's jump into the comments real quick. So Nelson Moreno, my guy, jumped in. He said, "I saw Simon shopping with Diddy. I was shopping for the baby oil, man. He buys it in the bulk, so I just wanted a discount. You know what I mean? I got to stay moisturized. Diddy got also the hookup for all the types of lotions, Jergens, and all sorts of exotic cocoa butters. You know what I mean? I just wanted the hookup. You know." So anyway, Pakazika says Israel or Palestine. I'm pro-Palestine, and my wife loves Israel. Just to let y'all know, you know
I'm not.
she's.
Don't say stuff like that online, bruh. Free Palestine. I'm not supporting Israel.
I'm trying to help you get in. I'm trying to help you level
Simon,
up,
I
move up
swear,
in
you
rank.
put that stuff on social media, it's never gonna get out. Somebody's gonna clip it. Don't say
Out
that.
of out of all the things we've spoken about, I'm pretty sure I said I ate your booty on one of these live streams, and you never got upset.
That's
But
not true.
I say you're pro-Israel one time, and you almost like fight me. What is happening?
Because I am not. I am not pro Israel. I'm pro Palestine. Free Palestine.
I'm
Don't
trying to
stop.
I'm trying to help you because you're. I mean, okay,
Help me with what?
okay. Acty, is it time to talk about your anti-Semitism?
I'm not an anti Semite. Simon, I swear. I will get off this live at this moment. Stop playing with
Okay.
me.
Out of all the things, I'm so shocked that this is what we fight about on live. I'd make a joke that you're pro-Israel.
Because I am not. And I do not want to be portrayed like that.
Okay, Middle Eastern wives, everybody, get you a Middle Eastern wife and tell her she's pro-Israel. You might die. Anyway, so Nelson Moreno is tripping. He said those slaps were light. I disagree with that. Diddy was putting a pound on that girl, hurting her. And I think, what do you think about the videotape of the assaults being played in the courtroom? Because he's not charged with assault. Like Free 100 says, Sean Combs' case should be about the assault, nothing else. But the assault happened years ago. The statute of limitations are up. What does the assault have to do with sex trafficking or racketeering? I don't get that. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think the prosecution was trying to say, like, that's how Cassie tried to get out of the freak off. And then when she wanted to be out of the room, that's when Diddy came in and slapped her and beat her up and,
Mm-hmm.
sort of made her go back in or whatever. So they were trying to portray it like she was escaping from prostitution there,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But the defense made a very good argument. They said, "Oh, they were fighting over a phone." And essentially, they were just a very toxic crackhead couple. They were crackhead couple goals. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's it.
yeah. And yeah, I don't know. Like they were also saying that it's because Diddy was on drugs
Hmm.
and that's what caused a lot of his violence, but I mean that's not an excuse, like
That's not an excuse. That's not an
yeah,
excuse at all.
I don't know what that has to do with like the overall trafficking case or just like the abuse of it and everything, but yeah.
But I just want to say, like, this whole thing to me feels like some type of like humiliation of a black man for his sexuality. You know what I mean? Like, I, I'm not saying like what Diddy did is right at all. You know what I mean? But when we listened to the defense's opening statements, they really sort of hit the nail on the head for me that this case seems to be about a private sexual relationship between a man who loves swinging and his very young impressionable girlfriend who is also his employee who is not really that much into swinging really, or she did it just to satisfy him, right? And so hearing all these details about how he likes to put semen on his nipples, how Cassie drank pee from a male escort, how Diddy used to jerk off in a corner with a bandana wrapped around his face, like all of this stuff just feels very invasive and like into somebody's privacy, and it feels doubly humiliating for like a black man to go through in the public space. You get what I'm saying? I don't know.
I get it, and I'm not sure if he was actually like trafficking people. I haven't made my decision yet. Uh, but I feel like he kind of deserved it. Like, yeah, maybe he didn't sex trafficked, or maybe like they were in a toxic relationship, but I think it's important to remember that in their relationship he held the power for the like, he had money, he was a man, he was the record label owner, he was the boss of Cassie. So I think like it's fair that he is paying it this way, like getting all of his stuff exposed. I think it's a bit of a karma.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Like, getting embarrassed in front of the world is sort of like karmic retribution for beating up somebody's daughter in a hotel, hallway, or like forcing this girl to have sex sometimes when she didn't want to, or even raping her because Cassie made the accusation that Diddy came to her house one day, attacked her, and raped her when she wanted to move on. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're saying like this public humiliation ritual is sort of like justified to some degree.
Yes, I think so. I mean, I don't know if like I said, I don't know if he's guilty of human trafficking. I don't think there has been enough evidence to put that. He's definitely guilty of other things like
Hmm.
sexual assault and abusing people. He's guilty of those things, but I'm not sure yet if he's guilty of what they're charging him with.
Yeah, I think the sex trafficking thing might be the strongest part of their case, though, because not focused on Cassie, but rather the male prostitutes he was flying out. Because from what I read of one of the people who did participate in the freak offs, is that he was a male stripper who showed up thinking he was just going to dance. And then he ends up having sex with Cassie while Diddy is in a couch watching, stroking it, So to me, that seems a bit, wild because if the genders were reversed, a woman who's a stripper comes to the door and has sex with, Diddy, and she didn't know that's what she was going to do, we would say, okay, that's wild. That's definitely a crime. But it gets more complicated there. I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think?
I think it's a bit like it wasn't like Diddy was trying to do what like Epstein was doing, right? He
Hmm.
wasn't like he didn't, buy an island and put escorts in the island or anything like that. I don't think he was trying to make an organization out of what his fantasy was. But maybe he did. So if they can prove that he sort of accidentally created this web around his fantasy, I think he will be found guilty. But if they
Mm.
prove that it was just his personal fantasy and it did not involve that many people to be played and abused, then
Yeah.
it's not going to be guilty. But it's like how you define it, basically, how you take the situation and how you define it.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. That's a very good point because I think, you know, um, it was just Cassie and apparently another woman named Jane who's going to testify this week who said that they had freak offs with Diddy and they didn't like to do it. But those are two girlfriends he had who he liked to have freaky sex with. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like there was like an enterprise of guys who were specifically hired to bring girls to Diddy that he would then watch them get, raped or attacked sexually in front of him. You know what I mean? It seems
Yeah.
like he met these two women. One of them he started this new sexual fetish with, and another one he continued it with, and then he sort of moved on with his life when they all fell apart. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like it's so confusing this case because it's like you have all of his partners saying that he abused them, right? But then at the same time, these women didn't come forward before, or they also went back to him constantly. But on the other hand, I think there is that like sort of victim mentality, where the victim goes back to the perpetrator, like
Yeah.
so that's also a possibility why they didn't, speak earlier, or why they went back to him and things like that. So
Yeah.
I guess you can't really know, and I don't know, maybe they do need to bring in a psychologist, or I don't know. um
Hmm.
I'm not sure like how they would get that information, behind those witnesses.
Well, let's go into the comments real quick. Nelson Moreno says, "Aren't human beings animals? What's the shock?" I mean, I would like to think that we're better than animals, right? But I think Diddy likes to fuck like an animal. You know what I mean? He's a freaky boy. I remember growing up as a kid, Diddy did some interview on MTV, and he said, "Yeah, I had sex for 24 hours." You know what I mean? Like Diddy used to say wild stuff like in interviews way back. That's what I'm saying. Like we grew up watching him and saying that's a freaky boy, but he's our boy. You get what I'm saying? He was just one of
None,
those.
none of you believed 50 Cent.
I know, right? 50 been telling us, yo, Diddy, Diddy said he wanted to take 50 Cent shopping, and 50 Cent got offended. He said, "What you mean take me shopping?" That's hilarious. But yeah, Diddy's been saying wild stuff for years. Nelson Moreno says she said she loved him and showed pictures of her baby after they broke up. And I'm gonna say this: I heard this today from somebody who was doing a DJ Vlad interview. I forgot exactly the name. Michael J. White. Remember that movie Black Dynamite?
Yeah.
The guy who played Black Dynamite said today. I heard this today. He said, uh, "People always ask, why do women wait till now to come out with stuff that happened back then?" And then he said, "Motherfucker, because back then they couldn't say shit." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nowadays, it's acceptable to point out rich and powerful men that abuse women sexually. But back then, like I said, 15 years ago, this would have been swept under the rug, not even brought to trial. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there, like and yeah, you kind of added to my point. Like the social climate was not there, and on top of it, there could be like, when you are abused like that, it's not that easy to come out and say, this man did this and this and this to me, because the man is powerful, and plus there's this psychological like things that are happening to you, and
Mm-hmm.
first you have to accept it yourself that you've been abused, and I think also that takes time.
Yeah.
And then you have to, probably seek for help, and then maybe you can come forward. Like these things don't just happen, oh, we broke up, so now I'm just gonna like understand that I've been abused. it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't happen overnight. It takes years to realize these things.
Mm-hmm. Go into the comments. Kamal says, "Simon, email. My email is in the about section, so hit me up that way." And Kamal says he's heard about that comment on MTV. See, I wasn't the only one. Diddy been talking crazy for a while. Go ahead.
But I also have to say that, like, the thing I just said now, like, those things were not acceptable, back then. And also, plus the digestion of the trauma. I think that also, like, kind of points out that the trauma was from, like, an abusive relationship and not really sex trafficking, maybe. Because it feels like if you are being trafficked, I feel like you would know. And maybe I'm being insensitive, but
I, you know, I hear what you're saying, like about Cassie's trauma and coming to terms with it before she came forward with it. I just feel like everything that's happened should have involved police before she decided to file that civil suit. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like, filing that civil suit, maybe she didn't know that it was going to, take on a greater level of things like the criminal case and everything like that. I don't want to get conspiratorial, and I don't know much about Cassie's personal life or her relationship with her current husband, but the freak off tapes were found on her computer. The FBI came and raided Diddy's home, found nothing there, but they got Cassie's computer and she still had them. And so for everybody who's saying like, "Oh, Diddy had the power over her and he was blackmailing people by videotaping them having sex," which was the joke for years. Now the tables are actually turned. She's actually the one using blackmail tapes of the freak offs, which will be shown in court to put him in jail. So you know, uh, on one hand, I feel like everything you're saying, like about dealing with trauma and stuff like that, I don't hold on to videos of my traumatic events. I put them on YouTube and monetize them. Like, go ahead.
I mean, no, don't say that, because remember that something happened with one of your exes, the devil,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the video of what happened, and you took it because you thought, hey, like, I'm a black man in this European country, and if I say something like this woman abused me, nobody's gonna believe that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why you took it and you kept it until you met me. I don't know now if you, maybe you delete it now.
No, I don't have it. I don't have it anymore. But that was funny as hell. If anybody doesn't know what Acti's talking about, I thought I spoke about this story. Basically, one of my exes started beating my ass for no reason. For no reason, she started whooping my ass. I was dealing with these crazy Slavic broads, and so yeah, I pulled out my phone. I'm like, "Bitch, get up off me, man!" This bitch was laying down haymakers on your boy. Wow, wow, wow. And so yeah, that's why I kept the tape.
Exactly. So like kept it as a insurance, and like it's that thing, that sense of thing is greater with women, that we keep evidence if we're hurt.
All right, I'm going to go into the comments real quick. Nelson Moreno brought up a good point. She admitted to FaceTiming her current husband while she was getting smashed by Diddy. And Nelson Moreno was referring to after Cassie said she got raped by Diddy when the defense was interrogating her. She said, I had sex with Diddy a few days later, maybe a week later or something like that. And then, when the defense asked her, why did you do that? She said, well, we were together for 10 years or so, obviously showing like she still had love for him. And at the time she had sex with him again, she was still dating the personal trainer that Diddy paid for her to have, that she ended up cheating on Diddy with and marrying. That's her current husband now, who she has 2.5 kids with. So, yeah, I think, Cassie is not all the way that innocent in this thing. And if I was on the jury, I would have a lot of doubt. You know what I mean? Going to mad villainy. He says she let it happen. She could have got out anytime and she stayed for years. I think that's a very good point too. I mean, to some degree, I asked this since the day the story broke. When does the autonomy kick in? When does the responsibility kick in as an individual? You know what I mean?
Um, yeah, I think once again, it could be two things. Like it could be Cassie maybe trying her luck one more time, or it could be again like her trauma kicking in, and maybe like her victim mentality kicking in as well. But once again, it does not show like sex trafficking. I feel like, it doesn't make sense to, because I guess like she's not being forced to go into like freak offs,
Well,
but
that's her argument. Her argument is that she was forced because, like, in the criminal complaint, she said Diddy came to her birthday party one time, smacked her, dragged her by her hair. And remember, Cassie used to have like one side of her hair shaved. I don't know if you know that,
yeah.
which is a hilarious image, by the way. I'm sorry, that's just funny. I don't know.
What?
That's so toxic. See, this is why I don't have female watchers because I say shit like that. It comes out. But so he's dragging the half bald woman back to his hotel to like have, swinger sex again. That's crazy.
Okay, okay. No, I understand that, but after she left, and then I guess Diddy raped her, and then she had sex with him again, a
Mm.
couple of days later, and she cheated on her now husband. She's not being forced to have a free after they split it, you know?
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say like during Diddy's relationship, she wasn't being forced.
No, because like the force while she was in the relationship, it could be like relational abuse. Like that could be,
Mm.
you know, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, but I don't, it's kind of hard to put that as sex trafficking.
Yeah, I think of
Once she got out, she wasn't dragged on into the freakouts.
yeah, yeah. Going to the comments real quick. Uh, Matt Villainy says the husband is. What do you mean the husband is? And Kamal says, I don't know what Cassie was thinking amid that hairstyle. I lost my crush. That's hilarious. I thought it was cute. It was innovative, man. Like the Cassie and Diddy saga was an era. If you were watching it, like you know, in the late early 2000s to the 2010s, it was a saga. But I think what you're saying is like, it's hard to say it's sex trafficking and stuff like that. Let's say, Diddy was flying her across, the country. He's in LA, she's in New York, and he says, "Hey, come to LA with me." Meanwhile, he's on the phone with a sex worker saying, "Hey, come to LA with me." Both of them come to LA. He pays the sex worker to have sex with Cassie. And, is that not trafficking by definition? I don't know. I think the big thing that makes this fuzzy is that it's because it's men that we're talking about here. The people who are being paid in exchange for their sexual services are men, and the guys, like the guy who went on the stand and said, he had sex with Cassie in a freak off, said, "I liked Cassie. If Cassie wanted to meet up with me personally, I would have again." You know what I mean? Like, this becomes tricky because these guys were horny for a beautiful woman to have sex with for money. That's why it gets a bit weird. But I swear, if this was gender reversed, if this story was gender reversed, it'll be book closed, shut. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that if this was reversed, that it would have been like a bit easier to close the case, but I don't think necessarily like that's how the male escorts saw it, because they're already in the business and they might have been like tired of doing this for Diddy.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Also, I understand that this is like a preventative law, that you cannot fly people across state lines if they are sex workers. Like, is that the law? Because I don't know. It also feels a bit like too limiting, because I feel like everyone who's powerful and rich does that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody's getting flued out. Getting flued out is a part of the game. You know what I mean? That's part of the reason I want Diddy to walk, is just because of the hypocrisy of everything. Like, every NBA player is flying somebody out. Every rapper is flying somebody out. Every CEO is flying somebody out and blowing backs out, taking cheeks, getting nasty with every IG model they see. You know what I mean? Is Drake gonna be next? Is the OV Ho gonna be next? You get what I'm saying? Because that's Drake's whole business model. He flies
Yeah.
out the finest girl on IG, gives her a BBL, and sends her on her way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that law just feels a bit like shaky in that sense. Like, if I'm in America and I'm in, I don't know, let's say New York, and I fly someone from California to New York for my friend's bachelorette party, and he's a
Hmm.
male stripper, then and we pay him, then am I sex trafficking? Like, you know?
Well, only if he has sex with one of your friends or has
Yeah.
sex with all of you.
Let's say he had a one night stand with my friend.
Hmm.
Is that
Yeah.
sex?
Well, acting now, you're a pimp. How does it feel to be a pimp?
It's a bit of like such a broad sort of like law. And once again,
Yeah.
I that it's preventative for like about cases that happened before, but yeah, like you said, I feel like most rich people do that. Possibly
Mm.
more rich people do that, the ones that we don't know about.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think Donald Trump flew Melania out. That's how they met. No, I think how Trump met Melania. She was just working as a nude model in New York, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's just such a common practice that seems to be, selectively enforced when they want to whip out these laws. And basically, he's getting charged with also like running a criminal enterprise. And the argument the prosecution is making is that their Bad Boy Records was a legitimate company, but he used that money to fund an extravagant lifestyle of sexual depravity and exploitation of people, which sounds like every business owner imaginable. Like, if you
Yeah.
have $1 billion and you own Facebook, I'm sure Zuckerberg did some nasty shit with some of that money. All those guys on Wall Street do nasty shit with some of the money they make. So, like, what I'm not understanding that part of the argument that
Yeah.
Bad Boy Records and Puff's inner circle were somehow running a criminal enterprise. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah, that kind of logistically also doesn't make sense, because that is his livelihood. So like where else would he get money other than his like organization and label to,
Hmm.
satisfy his kinks?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
if you want to go as a man, let's say you have a business and you want to go to a brothel and you spend like your money you're earning. Like what else can you spend other than you're earning from your
No, to me, it'd be like saying, Simon Hill was running an illegal criminal organization because he used the money he made from teaching English and making shitty YouTube videos to then fund his marijuana habit.
yeah.
And that makes Simon Hill like Pablo Escobar. You get what I'm saying? Like that's to me that's crazy. I don't get it.
Like I feel like it logistically does not make sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I do think though, to some degree, the way they're painting Puff in the courtroom from the prosecution, because he is such an unsavory character, it's we don't have the appetite now in our society for like billionaire assholes. I guess last year on November 5th we did, and we voted in a billionaire asshole to be our president. But
Mm,
since Luigi Mangione shot that man, since Luigi Mangione shot that man, it's been like open season on billionaires. So I wouldn't be surprised if the jury in New York just convicts Puff just for the fact his crime was making $1 billion. You get what I'm saying?
mm.
So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a possibility, but once again, it's unfair to all the other billionaires out there that might have kings that are similar, that might have even worse fetishes. Uh,
Hmm.
Diddy, so it's unfair that only he gets to go to jail, which I do believe that he needs to go to jail. I'm not sure that like he should get a life sentence. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of unfair and fair at the same time, and that's kind of like how the world works, which is really sad. Like it's
Hmm.
fair for him to go to jail because of all the effed up stuff he did to Cassie and other people, but it's unfair for him to go to jail because there are possibly like other. I can hear my own voice.
I don't know what's happening with that. It's not me.
Okay. But yeah, it's unfair for him to go to jail while other billionaires, other all types of billionaires that might not know their name are doing like the same stuff, but freely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the guy who owned what was it, American Apparel or Abercrombie and Fitch. I think actually both of them. The guy who owned American Apparel was like charged with like sexually assaulting and harassing women in his workplace, and he's still walking free on this earth, still making money selling shitty clothes. The guy who owned Abercrombie and Fitch used to fly out young twink male models to his office and then forcibly give them oral sex. He's still walking this earth. You know what I mean? Roman Polanski's still running around Switzerland and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Woody
Yeah.
Harrelson's still making movies, but Puff got to go to jail. R. Kelly got to go to jail. Bill Cosby got to go to jail. I mean, that's why I'm going back to like this feels like a humiliation ritual to me in the sense that it makes me worry for Jay Z. Like, what are they gonna do to Hove? You know what I mean? What are they gonna do to Obama? It feels like no black man leaves this world clean. It feels like you could be even Nelson Mandela and they'll find something in your past. You know what I mean? Like, I make the joke that Nelson Mandela found a way to cheat on his wife while he was in jail. Like, how did they do that? Like, there's no black man that walks away from this white supremacist racist world clean. And I just worry for, man, I worry for Tiger Woods. They did this to Tiger Woods, but I think they're gonna double back on his ass. You know what I'm saying? They're
I
gonna
mean, I think the problem begins with, having too much money and power a little bit.
Hmm.
Because yeah, if we look at all these stars at one time in their career, they were really big. They had a lot of money, and I think when that happens, they start to like go crazy. They start to develop kinks that they didn't have. Maybe even they don't know what to do with all the beautiful women that are coming to them, or maybe they're too much into drugs, or maybe they're into violence and all that stuff. So that combined with the race that they're in, because for all of that stuff, white billionaires get excused because they can find their way around the law and around the powerful other people that look like them. But I feel like black billionaires cannot always do that. That's why they get pinned every single time. Not that they haven't done anything bad, but it's just easier to pin them than the white billionaires.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this isn't even actually about getting a criminal conviction. I know one of the women on the prosecution team is a part of the political regime now that we have. I think she's a part of the Trump family or something like that. One of the people prosecuting Diddy is, but I don't even think it's actually about putting Diddy in jail. I don't think they actually believe he is a menace to society, a menace to women. It's about, can we humble a very powerful and rich man, also who just so happens to be black. You know what I mean? Like they really want to emphasize that, we still run this. We're living in the era of white men saying we still run this. When they're flying in 56, white South African refugees, they're saying we still run this. When they're
Yeah.
kicking out, the Latinos and doing ICE raids and clubs and homes, they're saying we still run this. And so when you're able to take down a guy for having wild, freaky sex with his girlfriend for 12 years, who came to his, baby mama's funeral, and who they texted "I love you" back and forth to, you're just trying to say like we still run this. You get what I mean? That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, yeah. And earlier when we were talking about this topic, you were also saying like, what if Trump pardons Diddy? And
Yeah.
the first time you told me that, I said like maybe he would do it to like, gain the votes of black men that he's kind of losing a bit because of all the racist stuff he's doing. Uh,
Hmm.
but I don't know if black men really want Diddy free. So, but I mean, men in the chat do, I guess, our chat.
I don't know what the votes say. Most of the people say that they don't know what's going to happen, right? And then the second biggest is like he's going to go free. I don't know. That's interesting to me. I'm gonna go into the comments. Nelson Moreno says Cassie probably still has freak offs, and Kamal says actually I wouldn't rule that shit out. I never put it past the white man to have weird sexual fetishes. So when Alex Fine, which is Cassie's husband's name, when he picked up the phone and saw Cassie getting piped out by Diddy, when he looked at that, I don't put it past him as a white man to not get a boner. The white man's sexual fetishes most of the time circle around somebody else having sex with their women. That's what they get turned off. That's what they get turned on by. I would not put it past Alex Fine to say that he watched the freak off tapes with Cassie. That now they're just trying to get back at Diddy, get the money, because after they busted their nuts a billion times to those tapes, now they're like, okay, let's really take this black man down. I that's what I think. That's what I think. Honestly, I'm keeping it real. Tell me if I'm tripping, Acty. Tell me if I'm tripping.
I just feel like you're completely dismissing like Cassie and her sexual wants and needs in this scenario and going off of Diddy and Alex Fine. So I feel like I just out of respect for Cassie, I don't want to like, say that she is also fantasizing about this and stuff like that. And I don't know the other guy, like I don't know her husband or anything, and I don't know their fantasies, obviously. So I just find it disrespectful, Simon. Sorry.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like a lot of the times, you know, white men get turned on by people having sex with their women. She kept the tapes for years. I'm sure she told Alex about all of this. And either Alex really liked those tapes, and then he like woke up one day and said, wait, I don't have to jerk off to this. I could just also take this nigga for everything he's got. Baby, let's do it. I think maybe he might have convinced her that they should just go for the gusto. Take everything. Take it all. Take that, take that. That's what I think.
Okay. It's a theory. It's a theory, and I don't know how true that would be. I'm not. I don't know, and I understand like your sentiment about like white man fantasizing their woman with black man. Yeah, like that might be true too. So I'm not sure. Like, how can I say that I think it's like that when I don't know nothing about this couple? I barely know Cassie. So
You know
yeah,
what's funny? You know what's funny? This is just so random. You remember a few years ago I did that ab wheel exercise on my channel,
yeah.
and I was looking up like, okay, who else did this, right? And so I go on like another channel and I see like some ripped white dude like doing the ab wheel challenge and stuff like that. And so then I leave a comment like, "Oh, that was good, bro," or something like that. And I looked up who it was. His name was Alex Fine, and I said, "Oh, that's Cassie's husband." This happened like a year or two before everything popped out, and the video only had like a few thousand views. So he was like a struggle tuber. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Alex Fine was a struggle tuber, and like I came across his channel. I don't know if he commented under mine or if he replied to my comment or something. I feel like he did, but yeah, man, like I feel like it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Kind of weird.
No, yeah, it's kind of weird that I stumbled across his channel and that
Yeah.
he was like on a struggle tuber, but I don't think it's past the possibility that they were going through financial difficulties. Cassie had been with this rich, powerful black man for like 12 years. Now she's living with her broke white baby daddy in her mama's house. And she says, this weird white boy keeps jerking off to my tapes with my black ex. Man, fuck it. Like, let's just get this money. I if Cassie was abused and prostituted out, like how you watched in that Toure video today, where Toure says, "Oh, Diddy is like a gorilla pimp, a CEO pimp, a player pimp, whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Like, it's not hard to imagine. Like, if if Cassie was slutted out like that, she might go to another pimp. And I think it's not past the possibility that Alex is her new pimp.
Okay, well, it's a theory, and I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying your theory is completely wrong or anything like that, but I
Okay.
don't think, you know, I think it's a possibility that, like, yeah, they got into this because of money.
Hmm.
But I don't like the idea that, everyone is miserable when they're not with Diddy.
No, it's not about Diddy. It's about the money. They like private jets. They like.
I understand with being with Diddy, it comes with a certain lifestyle. It comes with money and everything. But just because you don't have that lifestyle doesn't mean you're stuck in a house with someone who's jerking off to like your old porn. Like, that's what I'm
Have you
saying.
ever
Like,
dated a white man? Acting. Have you ever dated a white man?
of yeah, I did.
Acting. Don't say this could never happen, boy. You don't know.
Okay, I never dated anyone with that much of a weird sexual fetish.
Give Last says he's going to divorce her and get half of her money. The clock is ticking. That will be that will be the finesse of the century. That would show really nobody leaves this place clean. No black man. The white man gonna really take it all. The white man's really about to take everything from Diddy. That's crazy.
Well, that is. Kamal said, I know it's a bit off topic, but how do you two lovebirds feel about Margaret saying
Okay, do you know who Margaret Sanger is?
no?
Okay, so real short, back in the beginning of the 20th century, there was this movement called eugenics, which basically said like people should, try to stop people from reproducing that have bad genes, and we
Yeah,
should promote the reproduction of people with good genes.
yes.
So Margaret Sanger was a popular eugenicist. She promoted this idea. She wrote books about it. She tried to pair couples up, all sorts of stuff, right? And she's also credited as being one of the founders of Planned Parenthood, which is a organization in the U.S. that originally was nonprofit. I still think it's a nonprofit, but they help people get abortions. right?
Mhm.
And because everything in America has racist roots, Margaret Sanger was an extreme racist, and of course, the people with bad genes were black people, non-white people, right? And so her intentions, her stated goal of forming Planned Parenthood was to make sure that black people would have enough abortions so that they could eventually be gone, right? As
Mm.
well as through sterilization as well. So yeah, in my opinion, Margaret Sanger is no different than the several other hundreds of eugenicists of her time. I think people just cling on to her name as if not everything else in America is racist. You know what I mean? You can't say, oh, abortion was created to kill black babies, which is a talking point a lot of people on the right use to try to say, hey, you should be conservative like us. You can't say abortion was created to kill black babies without saying America was killed to kill black life. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
like like from the police force to the school system to the healthcare system, the entire country was built to destroy and demean and dehumanize black life. So you
Mm.
can't just say, oh, abortion is the one thing that America made that kills white people. Like, it's ridiculous to me. I don't know, what do you think?
Uh, I mean, I agree with you for the most part. I just heard about like her sort of, history. I thought Planned Parenthood was a good thing, and now like my history is also shattered.
But it's
Uh,
like learning about America. It's like, oh, America's a good place until you learn about the slavery and
yeah,
the
yeah, but
genocide and all sorts of stuff.
yeah, like you said, like you learn about one thing America does, but there's something else underneath, possibly coming from a racist history, like you said. So I'm not shocked that it comes from that. And I agree with you. I don't really have anything else to add.
Yeah, I mean, I think Planned Parenthood is a good thing,
Yeah.
just like the same way I think constitutional democracy that we have in America generally is a good thing. It started off bad, like everything in America. It comes from the most rotten, evil fruit, but you can somehow still eat this fruit and cultivate it and make it better. That's how I look at it. So I do believe, like, women should have the right to abortion, and especially black people need to have the right to abortion because, like, people complain, oh, there are people in the hood having babies that shouldn't have babies. They say, oh, there are people out here who shouldn't be parents and raising the next generation. But then at the same time, they say, oh, let's get rid of the opportunity for those people to then manage their reproduction. Let's try to get rid of Plan B. Let's try to get rid of methopristone. Let's try to get rid of abortion clinics. Let's make it so you only have 3 days to have an abortion, and that's after 2 days of counseling and 1 day of thinking about it some more and praying to Jesus. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm really annoyed by people who can't even get pregnant, who can't even get pussy. People who can't even get pussy upset with abortion. You get what I'm saying? But I don't know.
It does not make sense. Yamaha YZ says, why people care about these shady celebrities? Lots of fake people nowadays. Stop giving them attention. Why should we care about this case, Simon?
I would like to know what you think about any of this, but in my opinion, I think the Diddy story is important for hip hop culture, and hip hop culture is very, very dear to me, and I also think about just so many things, just like so many things. Like the Diddy case to me is like very deep in the sense that we're seeing one of the richest, most powerful, most influential, culturally significant black men be taken down by you know his uh, his sexual desires. There's like a Greek tragedy to all of this, to Diddy's case that really makes you feel like at the end of the day, no matter how much money and wealth a man has, somehow men still think with our dicks and our dicks still get us fucked up. I don't know.
I think it's important because it is political. Uh, because being black in America and also generally around the world is political. So Diddy going through this trial, whether he did it or whether he didn't, it is political. And I think it will be more important if Trump gets involved in it as well. I have a question.
Tell me.
Trump frees Diddy. Are you gonna vote for Trump?
Well, Trump can't run anymore. Thank God. Oh, by the way, I don't. By the way, Biden got cancer, and I'm so mad it wasn't Trump.
Oh,
I'm so mad. I'm so mad. They said his cancer is like really aggressive. I don't know if he'll make it through the rest of this year. It's crazy.
well,
But hmm?
yeah, go ahead.
Why are you saying all to genocide Joe, and then you want to say you pro Palestine?
I didn't say all to genocide Joe.
You said I said Joe Biden's got really bad cancer, and you said all.
So, is it
He's
like empathetic answer? No.
okay. All right. um. Yeah. So Matt Villainy says, "What does R. Kelly have to say?" R. Kelly would say this to the question about Acti. You know, saying, "Are we going to support Trump if he frees Diddy?" Um. No, fuck Trump for life. Fuck Donald Trump for life. Uh, but I actually would be happy if he did that. I would be happy if he did that.
Well, you know he's not doing it because he actually like wants to help black people or anything like that.
Okay, okay.
And he might possibly, if he's find guilty, and then Trump gets him out, he might be taking out a guilty man who has the potential to harm other women. And
Himself, like Trump
yeah,
himself, the
exactly like
rapist who stuck his
himself.
fingers in a woman in a department store.
Yeah, exactly like himself. Uh, and on top of it, like he's gonna hold over some power with that decision.
Hmm. Okay. Um. Yeah, I once again, I think the reason I'm supporting Diddy getting free is not because I think, you know, he's innocent of everything. It's just because of the hypocrisy. You have a rapist in the White House. You have a man who's been accused of more credible sexual assault than Diddy ever has. And so if the white man can walk free on this earth raping and abusing women, black men should be able to walk free on this earth raping and abusing women too. There.
Okay, in both cases, we're fucked up as women. What do we do?
Y'all can call the police and have black men lynched. Y'all at least got one type of men on lock. Y'all
Ca-
can get a
oh Jesus, Cassie is a black woman. What does she do then?
man to handle Diddy. She said, "Help, help! This big black man is abusing me," and the white man's now taking care of Diddy.
He was abusing her.
Yes, he was very bad with her, but why can white men get all the joy out of abusing women?
Oh my God, this conversation is going like to a really bad direction. No one should get the like freedom to abuse women. That's out of the question.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but
I
we
feel like
tolerate it.
repulsed right now.
Yes. Wait, the what? No, but we tolerate it, right? We tolerate it. We look at white men on TV all day. There are little girls watching all sorts of Disney shows and looking at movies and Twilight, whatever, right? And say, "Oh, white men are so dreamy. Oh, white men are so romantic. Oh, white men are so handsome." Meanwhile, white men be sleeping with children, sleeping with dogs, fucking cats, and actually abusing and killing all sorts of women. Created whole types of societies after raping and murdering women. Brazil to the Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico, so much sexual violence has been done by the white man, but the black man can't even have a freak off. The black man can't even have a freak off, but the white man can rape every woman in Mexico to create big booty mestizos and Latinas.
I understand your concern for women, I guess. But the solution is not like freeing all these people who can hurt women out into the world. That's not the
Mm.
solution. Is not women getting raped and abused. Just so we're clear on that.
I don't mean that literally.
I
I
know,
don't mean,
understand, but that's not a good point to keep on repeating.
but I'm just saying we tolerate so much shit from white people that we don't even have the opportunity to even try to be white ourselves, which is the goal of what it means to be like considered fully human in this world.
I understand.
Because
Yes.
people look at black men and say those are the sexual abusers, those are the rapists, those are the domestic violence causers, and all that sort of stuff. But they look at the white man and say, oh, that's just Timmy, that's just John. He's an individual and he has his own personality. We can't judge him by his skin color. But what they're allowing to happen to Diddy is allow the propaganda to be put on us. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I hope Trump frees him just to show the world he's one of us too. Black men, just like white men, are allowed to be full humans in the sense that somebody can come to their defense. Somebody is allowed to say, this was wrong that happened to him. You get what I'm saying? Do you follow me?
I follow you, yes. And that's what I said also in the beginning. Like, it's fair that if he goes to jail because he did abuse people, but it's also unfair because he's not the only one who's doing it. And so many other people deserve it as well. But I don't know, like, if just getting him out is considering all people, because then women are the ones that are just like left without any justice. And why would we like deserve that? And I'm talking about all women, like black women and white women.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But to some degree, this world we've lived in tolerated not having justice for black people, tolerated not having justice for us. The world tolerates that
But what
still
you're
to this day.
what you're doing right now is you're putting a black man above a black woman and disregarding like everything that she went through
First and
and
foremost,
that she deserves.
first and foremost, I swear to God, nobody knew Cassie was black until 2023, until
Oh,
that civil lawsuit came out.
this
Oh
again.
no, wait. But the second thing is, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
While it is unfortunate that some sacrifices will have to be made and some people will get the short end of the stick, this is the only way that we have seen the world work. The world works to some degree off of the degradation, the humiliation, the subjugation, the brutality against the black body. We want to turn this world upside down and we want to have a just world. We want a world of freedom. We want a world of equality. But that is not the world that the white man wants us to live in. So, playing by the white man's rules, we're going to do this now. We're going to subjugate another group of people. We're going to be full humans and we're going to be full men. And we're going to be able to abuse women and sexually assault them and rape them and become presidents and billionaires and CEOs and the romantic interest in movies and the heroes in all the pages of the books and written into history as the good guys and written as morally ambiguous. We want to be full humans. We want to be white men. Let us rape women. Let us hurt women. Let us become everything evil that the white man has been. That's what I'm saying. If I was Diddy's lawyer, this would be the argument I was making. Let this man be free. Let him be a man. Let him be. He is not right, but he is white. Facts. Let my client go.
No, that's
Let
not
my
bad.
client
That's not
go.
okay. Like you trying to treat injustice with more injustice. That's not okay.
Mhm. Okay. We'll
That's
have
not
to agree to
you're the
disagree.
person. You're the person who always says like feminism and like anti-blackness goes hand in hand. Like we have to help, each other. Those groups
Mm.
lift each other up. LGBTQ plus IA. Goes with like anti-racism and everything like that. But now all of a sudden in this case you're just like, no, we just want like freedom and equality for black men only. Like who's that gonna help?
Maybe I'm making statements that I feel like still align with everything that you said, but I'm just framing it in the wrong way. Maybe also I am just really heartbroken by the hypocrisy that we see. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the fact that there is a literal rapist in the White House. He
Yeah.
jumped on a woman and inserted fingers in her and had the same sort of shit happened to him in a courtroom, and people still said, "That's my guy. That's who represents me." Meanwhile, the whole world turns their back on Diddy for having sex with a woman for 12 years. It was just really freaky, and everybody, makes fun of him, and he's about to get his life thrown away in jail and die there. That just makes me feel like, fuck this whole shit. Fuck this whole shit. We just want to be as evil and wicked as y'all. We just want to be white men. We just want to torture and abuse women and kill the whole world and rape and pillage until all of, Belarus is black. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how bad, like, this shit is really in this world. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know maybe it's hard for you to get because, like, yeah, you're a woman, but you know, um, it's still like one level of one part of your identity that still, I feel like, doesn't really fully grasp like how wicked anti-blackness is in this world. Because while double standards still exist for women in a lot of the West, there's still, some level of justice, right, for this. Because if this, case happened in Pakistan, nobody would be taking Diddy to court in Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
But in the Western world, there's now like a movement towards justice for women. There's still no justice for black men. And that's just making me feel like, you know what, fuck this whole shit. Let's just be wicked as them. You get what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, and you are right. Like, I would never be able to grasp the situation the way that you do because you lived through it and you still live through it. Um, and, like, even though I'm not a white American, I do hold a certain, like, racial privilege within other people's eyes. But for me, like, as a personal, I guess, principle that I refuse to be like them because yeah, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to anyone let me be like a white man because I despise white men or, people like that. So I don't want to I don't want to become them because they are not anyone who should be idolized. They might have all the rights and they might always like, be forgiven in front of the law and get away with everything. But I don't want to live the life that they are living because it's just not right. And it's heartless and it's soulless. And I don't want that for myself. And I also don't want, you to feel like you should be forced to be like evil like them.
I get what you're saying, but once again, it's not about me actually like
I
abusing
know.
women. That's not what I'm saying.
I
It's
know.
not saying it's not. Let me. I just want to clarify that. And this is why you're a great therapist because you're walking me through this and talking me through this and saving me from the ledge, right? And by the way, shout out to everybody who hopped in. Street Translations, Kamal, Simon, you're talking facts. Says Nelson Moreno, Epstein's friends. Where's the trial for them? Facts, right? White women always treated me like garbage. I deserve a freak off. Facts. And Kamal says, I knew Cassie was a sister, but Wikipedia is my favorite website. I love Wikipedia too, but I don't be looking at like the Wikipedia for Cassie Ventura. Like, that's wild to me. That's a wild Wikipedia search, but I get you. But yeah, what I'm just trying to get at here is not the fact that I want black men to rape and pillage and actually do the wicked stuff that they accuse us of. I'm just saying, white men get to actually do it and walk away blameless. Black men do something similar to it or nothing like it at all and get all the blame and the stigma of those things, right? And all I'm saying is, like, in this situation where there is some moral ambiguity between what they're accusing Diddy of and what he actually did, I would just wish that this black man, despite his wealth, despite his billionaire status, despite his fame, despite his faults, was able to get treated like a really guilty white man. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that's what I guess what I mean when I say let black men abuse women too. It came out wrong, but really I just mean let Diddy be treated like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Let Diddy be treated like Donald Trump. You get what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand like where you're coming from. I understand what you're trying to say because it is frustrating at the end of the day to have like this double standard. Uh, So yeah, just don't put it that way because it just sounds like you're attacking women in general.
No, no. It's just like if you just sit back and think, like if everybody blamed Turkey for inventing Pizza Hut, and y'all and everybody was just like, yo, Pizza Hut is the worst pizza. Why did Turkey give us this shit? And then you keep on telling people like, we did not make it, it's an import, we did not make it. And then people just kept saying that, you will be frustrated too, right? That's what it is. Like, you know, we get called the sexual abusers, the sexual demons, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, white people raped so many people that there's, you know, now a country called Trinidad. There's now a country called Peru. Can you imagine doing so much raping that you invent a whole class of people in South Africa called the coloreds? Like how much sexual violence do you think like is really like, you know, related to like whiteness? And then, you know, to see Diddy get thrown through this and like his, you know, sexual exploits, just, you know, it just really bothers me. You know what I mean? In that
yeah.
sense.
It is. It is very, very like oh fucked up, and also like
Yeah.
hard to solve it because it's so deeply rooted
Mm-hmm.
in in the world and also
No.
in the systems of America, but also like in people's head as well. Like
Yeah.
know, at least the ones that are like not educated about race and about the history of race in America and around the world and
Yeah.
everything like that. Yeah.
Well, sorry, Acti,
It
for
turned out
doing that.
Afro pessimistic episode.
It did become Afro pessimistic a bit. It did become Afro pessimistic. You know, at times I say, "Oh, let's be right and not white." This is the time we just want to be white. Like in this case, it's not about whether did he do it or did he didn't do it. Whatever. Just let Diddy be David. Let Diddy be David. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. Do you think Diddy will beat the feds? He's going home, 47%. So a lot of people think he's gonna walk. Can't tell, 31% and 21% jail out of 19 votes, which is a lot. That's a lot.
Okay.
This,
I mean,
this,
the thing is like if Diddy doesn't go to jail, I wouldn't be sad.
you
Um
wouldn't be sad.
yeah, cuz then I would be like, okay, all of the evidence was given and the jury decided that he's not guilty. It's like OJ, right? Uh
Hmm.
not guilty. And for the abuse part, yes, I still think he's guilty of abuse, but he did pay a lot of money to Cassie. Uh, that so that's a bit justified as well. And plus, he got his whole career ruined because of that. So I mean, if he comes out not guilty, it's not like he didn't abuse Cassie. He just wouldn't be guilty of trafficking, sex trafficking. So.
I think he's not going to get, you know, because he's charged with three things: racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Right? I think
Mhm.
there's also a kidnapping charge that was thrown in there. I heard about that. Um, but yeah, I think he might get hit with that trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution for the male prostitutes.
Mm,
Racketeering, no. That's the thing. That's the
okay.
thing.
I
They
just
try,
get charged with one.
yeah.
Okay.
So Stephen Collins, who is Stephen Collins? I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is?
Stephen?
Stephen Collins.
No. Isn't
I'm
that
not.
like a basketball player or something?
I'm not sure. As a former actor.
Oh.
Oh, this guy. Oh, this guy. I know who he is. Okay. Yeah, Stephen Collins. Basically, this guy was a famous TV dad, and he was on like this like soap opera type show, talking
Mm,
about like a Christian family and like he's the good dad. And I believe like he was having like sex with a child, like straight up
oh, oh,
traditional OG pedophilia,
mm,
that old school pedophilia. You know what I mean? Dick and a baby. You know what I'm saying?
good.
Like wild shit. So yeah, and then I think he only got like 7 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting depressed.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for making you sad.
Now, now I want to hate all men now. You know,
Don't hate all men. Just lynch white men this time.
rarely do shit like this. Okay, we are like mostly innocent. Yeah, there is some fucking
Yes.
stuff that we do, but y'all are just like, the devil's semen.
Stop it. Stop it. Black men in general don't hurt anybody. And if we did hurt anybody,
Only black men. I just was saying men in general.
wait, let me take that back because them African boys, they still chopping up clits. So let me take that back.
Okay, let's not. It's getting like more and more depressing as we talk. Like now we're into female circumcision. Don't want to get into that.
Yeah, all right. Let me stop. Let me stop. Either way, you said you wouldn't be sad if Diddy walked free. Would you be sad if he went to jail?
No, I wouldn't also be sad if he went to jail either because, yeah, I do feel like he does deserve some jail time because of.
Hmm.
But I would be only sad if he went to jail like for life.
Yeah, life is extreme for this.
Yeah,
Like at most, a 10 year. If Diddy did 10 years for this, I'd be like, okay, that's fair.
yeah.
That's kind of fair.
I mean, also, like, just in general, I want to clarify, like, in today's society, I wouldn't feel bad if he went to jail. But in general, I'm not a person who supports jails.
Hmm.
So I would rather have him rehabilitated than go to jail in my perfect world. But I know that's not an option.
Agree with you. Like, yeah, prisons rarely rehabilitate,
Yeah,
and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Diddy goes to jail and he gets killed in there. They just stabbed Tory Lanez. I don't know if you heard about that.
no.
He
But
got
I
stabbed.
Chris Brown was going to jail too.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's everything's falling apart. Tory Lanez almost got killed in jail. He got stabbed 14 times, like,
Wow.
and his chest collapsed. And Chris Brown got arrested. Um, I don't know, man. And Trump's still walking the earth. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that
Yeah.
crazy? Elon Musk still doing Hitler salutes. You know what I mean? Fucking Nazis running around.
Mm.
Shiloh Hendricks got $1 million. We live in the worst timeline. We
It
live in
is.
the worst timeline.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, acting. Sorry. This is supposed to be fun, but it got dark.
Gotta talk about it because if we don't, then no one does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so this is where we wrap this up. Somebody says Trump is untouchable. The MAGA folks are in here now. Now we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up. But thank you, Acti, for coming live. Shout out to everybody who joined in. Shout out to MA. Shout out to Kamal. Shout out to Nelson Moreno. Shout out to J Reaction. Okay. Shout out to Mad Villainy. Shout out to Give Last. Yamahazi. Who else came in? Whipster. Free 100. Pakazika. Shout out to everybody who jumped in. And any last comments, Acti?
I hope justice works one time in America, and I hope the jury like just is unbiased. That's all.
Hmm.
Whatever decision they end up with, I hope that they are unbiased.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too, man. Free the boy, free Diddy though. That's the only right solution, man. Just free him. Free him, even if he's wrong. Is all I gotta say.